हम जानना चाहते हैं कि जो इंसान की बहुत एक सिंपल लेवल के ऊपर कि जो इंसान का माइंड है एज अपोज टू द ब्रेन, बिकॉज हम आई गेस इन दोनों वर्ड्स को एक ही तरह से कंसिडर करते हैं, एक ही माने समझते हैं, दोनों को इंटरचेंजेबली यूज़ कर लेते हैं। एक तो ये कि उसमें हमें थोड़ी सी एक क्लैरिटी, और दूसरा ये है कि ये माइंड की जो इन इटसेल्फ की जो हिस्ट्री है, क्योंकि ऑब्वियसली इंसान तो जो सो कॉल्ड उसका कहना है कि उसने होश संभाला, वो उससे हम मतलब हमें पता है कि इंसान जो है इन द पास्ट वो बिल्कुल ही केवमैन की तरह फंक्शन करता था, उसकी बेसिक वर्किंग बहुत ही एनिमलिस्टिक थी, एंड आई थिंक वो सबको ही पता है बात। मगर उसके बाद फिर उसमें एक मेजर चेंज आता है, और फिर वो सिविलाइजेशंस में सब कुछ जो कि हिस्ट्री के एस्टैब्लिश्ड फैक्ट्स हैं उनसे गुजर के फिर यहाँ पे खड़ा होता है। तो हम इसके बारे में बड़े अनक्लियर हैं कि ये माइंड उसका इवॉल्व करता कैसे है, उसकी जर्नी कहाँ से शुरू होती है, और वो बेसिकली उसके अंदर ये ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन, ये चेंजेस आते कैसे हैं। अभी मैं और फिर ऑब्वियसली अगला सवाल जो कि बहुत मुश्किल सवाल है कि ये क्यों होते हैं ओवर टाइम, और पहले क्यों नहीं होते, आज क्यों होते हैं। ये कुछ बेसिक सवाल हैं जहाँ से हम बहुत कंफ्यूज्ड हैं कि ये स्टोरी शुरू कहाँ से हो रही है।
ब्रेन तो बिल्कुल एक क्लियर टर्म है
जी।
ब्रेन एक बायोलॉजिकल चीज़ है
जी।
न्यूरॉन्स का एक कनेक्शन है और उनके मुख्तलिफ हिस्से हैं। मेडिकल साइंस हैज डन अ लॉट ऑफ वर्क ऑन द ब्रेन, न्यूरोसर्जन्स कहलाते हैं।
जी बिल्कुल।
ब्रेन इज अ part of the body, biological. Mind is not biological. Mind are the different functions that brain has learned to create and use historically over a long period of history. As society grew, in time passed, it acquired new functions. Let me put it like this. The animals also have brains, very similar brains to what human beings have. Not exactly the same, but similar brains. Even insects have brains. Nobody says that animals have a mind. They may have a temperament, habits, instincts, perceptions, responses, but not a mind. Human brains also have the same functions as animals have, but they have more than that, much more than that. This, I believe, began with language. Animals don't have language. But with language came words.
But animals do communicate with each other. That's not language? What do you call the communication between animals?
That's communication.
So you won't call, that's not a language?
That's not a language.
Language has to have words in it.
Language means a collection of words, and not a fixed collection, but it's a growing collection. You keep on adding words now.
So
language is not.
But words are abstraction, because we could call this, instead of calling a cup, we could call it a glass, or an animal, or a dog, or whatever.
You're quite right.
Gee.
So words, you give words, then you can think in terms of words. That is the difference. Animals don't think in terms of words. But when you please consider the power of words, a measurement in length is also words, millimeters, nanometers, meters, kilometers. These are words. So words enable you to weigh, to measure. And then you make attribute qualities to them, good, bad,
and all in between.
beautiful,
बिल्कुल.
a little beautiful, very beautiful.
And then use.
Very is a word, and a little is also a word. So little beauty and very beautiful, that's also a word. So please understand how much words broaden the working of the brain. When it becomes very big, then we call it a mind.
Wow, amazing.
Then you can reason with it. Then you can argue with it.
What does reason mean?
Reason means the logical connection between cause and effect.
If you could give us an example.
If you put water on a stove and heat it to 100 degrees, then it will start to boil. Then it will turn into steam.
That's reasoning.
That's reason. That's the connection between cause and effect. Applying heat to the point that it reaches 100 degrees centigrade, then the effect of that is that it turns into steam. Now you can do the same thing. This was an example about a thing such as water and steam. But you can do the same process in arts. Okay, if your proportions are such and such, then it will be a beautiful picture. And if you make the picture in a different way, then it would not be a beautiful picture. It could even be an ugly picture, or it could be a horror picture. So now you can reason with qualities also, not only with quantities, not only with things.
Understood.
Then you can, if I'm making an argument and you're sitting as a judge, then as a judge you may hear my arguments and say that these are reasonable arguments, these are valid arguments. Or you may say that no, these are unreasonable arguments, the argument is not valid. That is also reasoning. So please consider the expanse of reasoning. Consider the reasoning that an animal does.
Okay.
How limited it is.
बिल्कुल सही कि ये poisonous है या नहीं है या ये water है या जो भी
physical needs हैं, उसके हवाले से उसके responses limited हैं. They don't need language. So it does not have language. It has responses. But with the beginning of civilization, begins with agriculture. Now agriculture में इतने different functions हो गए, far bigger expanse of functions than animals, and eat something. But in this case, you have to sow seeds, so you have to plow to a certain depth and then soften the earth. Then you've got to plant the seed. Then you've got to water it. Not too much water, not too little water. Then you have to nurture the plant. And then at the right time you've got to take the seed out or cut the product. And you have different uses for different parts of the plant. You use some as fodder for cows, some you use to
do so many things with it. Understood.
Do so many things with it.
Yeah.
Animals don't. So with the coming of agriculture, there are so many functions to be performed that language began. You needed words.
Understood.
You see, your brain is capable of certain responses a limited number of responses. It's a biological process.
Understood.
But when it multiplies, then biological processes are no longer sufficient to cope with the multifariousness of the phenomena you're dealing with.
Understood.
Then you need words to give each of them a particular thing. So as your need grows as your life becomes involved more and more with more details, then you need references, you need identifications. So language was a product of that need. And of course, language did not begin with the Oxford Dictionary.
Absolutely.
It began with a few words. And then it grew and developed. And now in the age of technology, how many more new words have come in? Have they or have they not?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं.
So you can see the connection between. So it's a transition from animal life, because animal life goes up to the point that man becomes a hominid, where biologically he becomes a man. His bones change, his physiology changes, and he becomes a hominid. But he doesn't become a man.
A human. He doesn't become human.
Doesn't become. Yeah. Darwin has traced this. This biological evolution, Darwin has dealt with it.
बिल्कुल.
But when you start becoming man, which Darwin did not deal with, then you're looking at the brain. Noor, let me go back one step. If you want to make that inquiry, starting with advanced animals and going back to insects, you will find changes in the brain at every stage of evolution. So the brain is like all other parts of your body, is a dynamic state body.
बिल्कुल सर. It evolves and it
evolves, it changes. Except that the brain is, as experience has shown, is potentially the most dynamic thing. It is capable of producing a mind. A mind is when you can use words purposefully and systematically. So you today dealing with man. The lives that we are living as men and we are dealing with men. If somebody is to be hanged, then it is a man who hangs him. If somebody shoots somebody, it is a man who is shooting him. No animal shoots. If somebody is going to fall in love with you, it will be a human being that falls in love with you. And somebody hates you. If you get an opportunity, get a job, it will be human beings who will be giving you the job. And if they don't give you a job, and if some person has to starve, then it is human beings who make him starve by denying him food.
Yes.
And if you go to war, then you will go to war with men and you will be fighting other men. So your life today is made up of what men do. If roads are to be built, they are to be built by men. If a new technology comes in, it is men who brought in that technology, which you use. And if you don't have that technology, then it is man who has not yet been able to give you that technology.
Very well said.
So man's real life is limited and has opportunities and has adversities which are man-made.
Understood.
And he has to negotiate on a man-to-man basis. And all this process, human process, is run by the human mind.
Understood. Understood.
So today we have some norms, okay, there are motives. If somebody has a business, then his interest will be to make more money for himself and not to share it with somebody who is starving. Or if he is a kind-hearted man, he may to some extent share and or may not share.
समझ गए.
All right, there is a government. If they are corrupt, then they produce corruption. If they are honest, then you have an honest government and you can rest in peace.
ठीक है, समझ गया मैं. Now these are all the functions of the mind. This is not
mind.
So
if you are going to educate yourself, you will be educating your mind. If you send your child to school,
you'll be sending him for the nourishment of his mind.
For his mind.
So
and if you write poetry, sir, you will use the mind for it. So your whole life, the foundation is still biological, but the superstructure is mental, which is then decisive. If you eat the wrong food, you will poison yourself. So they are interactive, the mind and the body. They are not completely separate. Can I add
Sure.
just one thing?
Sure.
Now, I owe an explanation. Why is it that I have made this, I focused on the mind. The mind has been there, it has been recognized throughout history, human history. And people have talked about being intelligent and about being clever, etc., etc. So the mind has been talked about throughout civilization. I'm attaching extra importance to it.
As opposed to?
The past. In the past, the term mentology wasn't there here. Mentology means love of knowledge of the mind. And a body of knowledge about the mind. That subject didn't exist. They were talking about the mind.
You coined the term mentology.
I coined the term mentology. The reason was...
And what does exactly mentology mean? I mean, if
a body of knowledge, a specialized knowledge about the mental processes, about the mental functions.
So I'm very
an organized body of knowledge.
Organized. And it has not existed before?
No,
why is that?
It has not.
Why has that been?
Because they were satisfied with the intelligence and with knowledge and with being clever and with coming up with the things that they have come up with, inventions.
So Raza, isn't inventions a product of the mental processes?
Of course it is.
So,
but it is not the whole of them. That's not the complete compass. That is not the limits of the mental process.